Good day. This is Crow from Crow Shop. It's Saturday evening, and I decided to try my hand at making some videos. So here we go. So if we make some mistakes along the way, well, that's just part of learning. But my thoughts were, it's time to share, I guess, a portion of myself. I like to call it seeking to learn. It's a journey that we all go through. This particular topic is going to be based on some basic craft, some tips, some examples of my work, and different ways to consider things if you're going to plan on doing this kind of work. It's more along the lines of beadwork, traditional styles, and different techniques, of course, and I'll show you some pictures as we go along the way. Before we start going on this journey, we're going to put a couple photos here of some work that was done back in the early 90s. This is a small medicine bag that was done. This was a bear claw pattern with a custom made knife that went along with it. Most of these beads are all size 11s and some of them are size 10s. Those are the smaller number of beads that I prefer to use with the traditional work that I accompany with. This is a beaver bag with the same kind of beadwork. There's a timestamp there on the photo of 94. So you can see this is some old stuff from the past. This was a beaded bag that was also done on elk skin, and I'll talk about different types of skin coming up. What's preferred, what you can use, what's available. This was a fully beaded bag. It was a very nice bag. I really enjoyed making that one. This one was a little bit more, I think, for myself, advanced. It was tough to do the rows and keep the beadwork straight. The Lakota style, of course, with the different colors, and that was a challenge. Here's an old photo of myself back in the 90s as well, and trust me, we've come a long different ways and what we've done and learned. Alright, so having said that, what I like to share is most of the stuff that I do is traditional, and I say the word traditional because it's done on stuff that was preferred, products or the raw material that I choose to use now when I do all my stuff is called brain tan buckskin. Most of it's smoked. It comes in different colors and variations. What I'm going to show you is what they call it in the raw. So in the raw for me is a product that is sewn or made or put together, ready for fully functional use, but there's no decoration on it. And of course the cost for these are always a lot lower, because once you start throwing the little add-ons, you can see that the decorations, as this is a project I'm currently working on right now, becomes very challenging going forward. Most of these, what you see here are different styles of beads, of course. You have the larger ones that are called white hearts. These are size 11s, and these are pound beads, the size that are higher, and then the traditional color and size number 11. I am using a beading needle on this with beading thread, and if you could see, the beadwork is actually done on the top layer, and it's sewn between the thicknesses of the compressed buckskin. As you can see, there's no way to fully stitch through the material. I prefer to do it this way. Just something that I've done from the very beginning, and I've continued to continue this style. Here are some more examples of things that we call them the raw. This is a pouch, medicine bag style. once again, sewn, put together, ready for beadwork. Some people prefer to do the beadwork pattern and then put it together. I myself I think I do things different than most people. I have all of the entire bag sewn together before any of the projects are even started. This is a nice one that's going to be finished. As you can see, my patterns, my cutting, my sewing, most of the stitches are not exposed. They are done with artificial sinew, with Glover's needles, and they're done in a very concentrated manner where I can't see too well on there. That's fully functional. It's going to last a while. It's not going to come apart on you. You don't have to worry about the threads coming up or getting worn down. And to the eye, it's pretty. Here's an old bag. As you can see, here I had some beads on there. We decided to change this around. We went ahead and did the buffalo fur on this one. And as I move on down here, this is a style for edging that we decided to do on the actual strap of the material. Edge beading with all the glass beads I use come in various sizes and colors. These are kind of translucent. And most of the stuff I'm showing you, of course, is a process as you learn as you go ahead. More of what I'm showing you today, this evening actually, is based on some examples of what I want to share with you. Here's another one that's been moved forward from the raw stage. This is a more traditional style beadwork. It's done on top of the material as versus through it. As you can see, the actual stitching as it's completed there. This is the primary when it's put together, and of course the top stitching that's done in various colors. I'm proud to say that my brother, my younger brother, actually did this, and he did a very good job. So I guess you know, catch the fever. Somebody sees something and somebody else wants to understand and how to learn, so there's a whole bunch of different ways. We're going to talk a few minutes here about beads themselves. This is what we use. They're very small. They're seed beads. They come in different various colors. You can order from different suppliers. And of course, once you decide, when you get something like this little guy's been around the block a few times. It's kind of rough, but yet, you know, it's ready for beading. It's all put together. It's ready to go. Alright, so just bear with me here. We're going to transition over to some completed stuff. This particular bag that I'm showing you, I've had it since the early 80s. I did not do this beadwork. This person is named Don Two Eagles. He comes out of the Northern California area. Basically, he's just an old hippie from the 60s and 70s. But his beadwork was tremendous. What I like to say is the inspiration for me for a lot of things that I do now. His style, his color, his pattern. Not to mimic but what he does, but to try to establish some groundwork for some styles that that I would like to contribute. Here's one that we did. This edge beading sometimes doesn't lay flat as it should. Alright, so that's a small little medicine bag. A lot of these are medicine bags that I'm showing you. This one was one of the primary ones that came out really good. Kind of like Dawn's, but no edging on here. But the rest is all done pretty close to his. Of course, they're adorned with beads going forward. Here's one, a quick one we did with just some leftover beads and some material. Just a quick row, a little edging on here. So a lot of this is practice, it's application. This one is a little bit more higher up the food chain. This one actually I plan to use to compete in a county fair and other events going forward. This is a silver button that we handmade, the traditional beadwork that I call it traditional, with the edge stitching. And as you can see, the back is done that way. None of the beadwork actually fully penetrates the leather that goes to the other side. It all is surface sewn in and out through the process. We're getting close to finishing this video, by the way. In beadwork, well, like anything else you do, you have a tendency to advance and learn different things. Some of the beading processes I got, I don't want to say tired with, but I needed something more challenging to try to learn. This is what we call quill work, also done with beads. As you can see, look, there's no stitching on the back side. All the beads always lay stitched on the top surface of the material. And the back, of course, is the stitching that shows along the way. This is my son's. I decided to make one for him, and another one that kind of looks like his, which actually turned out to be this one here. This one has quite a story to it. It was a learning process for me along the way. Even the knife itself is handmade by my hand, and it was a very long project. As you can see, we've got some residual use. I do wear this quite a bit in the field activities. This won first place at the San Mateo County Fair in 2018. And then the last item I'd like to share with you before we close out is something that's even more radically different. As you say, you always continue to try to learn something different. This is actually pine needles that I've decided to learn how to use a pattern and integrate actual beads that are on the medallion itself. And the reason why I share all this with you and I show you all the different examples is because as you learn, as you go forward with any projects that you do, you will always want to advance and try to do something different. So I want to go ahead and encourage you. There's a lot of examples of what you can do. There's a lot of videos out there, tutorials, books, and of course this channel that we're going to start putting on our Frontiersman Camping Fellowship, Mountain Man, and of course Crow Shop as well, for helping people along the way. So God bless you and have a great day. Bye-bye.